If you are escaping through social media, all that means is you don't have anything in your life going on that is worth pursuing. I watched porn for 15 months. Now, I'm not talking about like every day, but it was part of the ritual. Six habits that every man should cut out of their lives so they can get to the point where they are achieving, meeting their goals, and living their lives at the highest level, right? Let's jump right into them. Number one, guys, every man needs to cut out porn. This topic is one that's been debated and argued for as long as I can remember, right? And this is coming from a soldier that just spent 20 years in the Army, right? There's times where I'm deployed on range a year to 15 months at a time. At that point, what are you going to do, right? You don't really have an option but to fucking watch porn and masturbate, right? So I'm speaking from experience, and I can tell you firsthand, these are the two advantages from my perspective that comes from porn, right? Number one, you get the sexual release. Like I mentioned, I'm deployed for 12 months. You know, I don't have a female within sight. I got to do what I got to do, right? So that's the number one thing. Number two is going to be education. You get to learn how to have sex. You get to learn all these different positions. You get to learn where the hole is, right? Guys, those two benefits are nothing compared to the cons that porn produces. Again, speaking from experience, the number one effect that porn has on you is going to be erectile dysfunction. We'll travel back in time, guys. My second deployment, right? Now I'm married. I watched porn for 15 months. Now I'm not talking about like every day, but it was part of the ritual, right? Now I get ready to redeploy. Now I'm with my wife, and it's like, man, sex just doesn't feel the same. And there's a lot of studies done about this. It's called the Coolidge effect. My mind got so used to watching pixels and so used to watching all these different performers to where for 15 months, it thought that was the norm, right? It thought that, hey, jumping from window to window, watching 6-7 chicks at a time perform these acts was the norm. So it got used to that. It got used to all these weird positions to where when I had my wife in front of me, my mind was like, what is this? This isn't what we're used to. Like, this isn't going to do it for us, right? So that caused a form of dysfunction. And I realized once I cut that out, everything got back to normal, guys. So that's the number one con that I would say comes from that particular activity. Let's move on to habit number 2, 3, and 4. Now, habit 2, 3, and 4, guys, I want to group them into escapism. Escapism meaning habits that you're doing to escape your reality, meaning you're not happy with where you are in life. So you're partaking in these events to escape your reality and go into some virtual world. Number one is going to be video games. All right, guys, games like, Worlds of Warcraft, where you get to play as a character and you level up and get better and better within the game, is nothing to brag about, right? You often hear guys online talking about, oh, I'm this at World of Warcraft, I'm expert this, I'm this and that. When in reality, they're just some freaking regular dude in their mother's basement playing video games, right? What they're achieving in the video game, they're attaching their reality to. They're attaching their self-worth to it. When in reality, none of that shit matters. All you're doing is making somebody else money. Whoever created that game, that's who's benefiting from you sitting in a basement with a remote in your hand, wasting your life away. Instead of leveling up within Worlds of Warcraft, why not level up at life? Why not put the remote down and go do some awesome shit? Number 3 is going to be watching television, right? Now, this one is another escapism, right? I've seen, people cry over, a certain Game of Thrones episode. I've seen, people get upset over a freaking power character dies. How ridiculous is that? To where you are investing your emotional state in a character. And I often say, like, hey, man, this dude is not really dead. It's all in the script. You can Google him. He's alive somewhere, living on an island, enjoying his millions. They're playing you. They're keeping you on the couch, watching them live out their dreams. So instead of helping somebody accomplish their dreams, how about you turn that shit off and go accomplish your dream, right? Guys, 1 hour a day is the time I give the television, right? And that's typically at night. Me and the missus, we sit on the couch, we watch TV, and then I go to bed around 9 o'clock and I'm up at 4:30. That's all they get from me, right? I can guarantee you if you do that, you'll be a lot closer to achieving your end state, right? Last but not least, as far as escapism, we have social media. If you go to general on your iPhone and you go to settings, there is a tab on there that you could click on that will show you the amount of time you spend on your phone. Even more, it'll break down exactly where you spent those amount of times. It'll show you, hey, you spent 2 hours on Instagram. Hey, you spent a couple hours on YouTube, right? Hey, you spent, 3 hours on freaking Pornhub, whatever. It'll break it down for you. And that should let you know exactly the path you are on as far as wasting your life away. If you are escaping through social media, all that means is you don't have anything in your life going on that is worth pursuing, that's worth being excited about. If your excitement comes in the form of getting on Instagram and seeing what other people are doing, then, dude, what are you doing with your life? You're wasting that shit away, all right? So again, guys, the last three that I've mentioned, video games, watching television, social media, all three are escapisms meant to take you away from your reality and put you into a virtual state to where you're watching other people achieve their dreams. Cut all that shit out during 2024. Number 5, as far as bad habits that every man needs to get rid of during 2024, is going to be eating shitty foods. All right, guys, you are what you take into your body. You can't expect to look like a god, but you eat like shit. Me personally, I don't eat breakfast and I don't eat lunch, right? So I'll fast all the way up to dinner time. I make sure I take in the right amount of protein, the right amount of fats, and then I repeat that cycle. I've been below 200 for as long as I can remember because I understand what I put in my body is going to help me feel good. And if I feel good, I'm always going to perform good. So if you're eating shitty foods, keep that in mind. The Big Mac at McDonald's doesn't cost $3.99, all right? It costs your health. One day, you're going to fucking wake up and you won't know what happened to you. You're going to look like a bag of dicks and you're going to wonder how you got there. It's because you were taking in the wrong type of food into your system, all right? Last but not least, guys, as far as habits that every man needs to cut out of their lives for 2024 is going to be living with your parents, living in their basement. I understand there's a certain comfort that comes from living with your parents, right? Because they're taking care of you. They pay the light bill, they buy your food, they're essentially still nurturing you, right? But if you're 21, 22, 23, 24 and you still live with your mom and dad, what are you doing? This is classic failure to lunge syndrome, right? Eventually, you're going to have to go out into the world and start paving your own path. The sooner you do that, the better off you'll be, right? The better you can start facing life challenges and creating your own legacy, right? So if that's something that you're doing in 2024, you need to cut that shit out, get out there, start imposing your will on the universe, and start walking to the beat of your own drums, right? Guys, those are the 6 habits that every man should cut out for 2024. Let me know if I missed one or if you want to add one in the comment section below, guys. Until next time, take care of yourselves.